Okay, so I need to get a good bond for this recumbent project on this ferrule. I'm just going to join two sections. Hang on. Here's the other section. Two sections of bicycle. Like this, if that's still in there. Boop. Okay, like, you know. Come on, you. Like that. Okay? But in order to be a good bond, you need to have kind of a minimum and a maximum gap filled with epoxy, you know, between the interior and the interior of this and the exterior of that. So, how do you get it? Well, it's kind of hard to measure the diameter of this with even a good digital caliper, because any tiny movement, you get the wrong measurement. I threw some metric feeler gauges in there, and it seemed like this was a really narrow gap on each side, like in the neighborhood of 0.03 or 0.02 millimeters, which is pretty narrow. So in order to check the bond line and to establish whether or not I can get some fillers in there, I'm going to do a little experiment here. The experiment is going to be maple syrup. That'll be the pretend, that's the pretend epoxy in this experiment. And then glass microspheres. These ones are from System 3. It turns out they're 3M k25s, which means they are going to range in size mostly between 25 microns and 90 microns, but they could be as big as 105 microns. If they're 105 microns, they should actually be too big to fit in between those. So I'm just going to, without sanding this down any smaller or sanding the inside of this to make it any bigger, I'm going to do a little experiment. This, and just mix some of this in with this and see how it works putting it in there. This syrup is a little bit more, it's a little bit thinner, a little runnier than my epoxy, but it will do. And I'm not going to use, I don't know if you've never seen these bubbles, if you sneezed right now you'd have, like, you can just probably see a little poof of smoke. This stuff weighs almost nothing. It's great for making a lightweight paste that's actually pretty hard. We're going to find out if it helps us with our bond line gap. So I just mixed in just a small amount. Very, very small amount. And you can see it's thickened this up a little bit. But that's about all I want to put in there for now. We'll stir it in a little better. I'm going to cover this before I hit it with my elbow and spill them everywhere. They're cheap, but they're a mess. They're apparently no more dangerous than any other kind of dust. They're just little hollow glass spheres. I got the technical data sheet on them today. That was very exciting. They apparently stand up to a crush test of 700 pounds per square inch. Okay. So this stuff looks like very runny caramel right now. Let's make a friggin' mess with our carbon fiber here. Rub this stuff on, and we'll insert it in here. I want to get this right before I do the final bonding for the bike, because, you know, let's just say you can't just always shove something in something else and just hope it works out well. Can I get her? That's what she said. I may be overthinking this, but it's also kind of a fun experiment, so let's just do it. Alright, so this is probably going to make a gooey mess when I put it in here. Let me get a piece of paper towel. Okay, there we go. Let's see what happens. Goes in, And you can see it flows up on the edge. Now what happens if we just kind of halfway in? Well, it didn't all just fall off. That's pretty interesting. Looks like it's very nicely distributed there in a pretty thin layer. Proof might be more on the inside of the tube, which that's a nice layer of sticky all the way down. I'd say that's probably pretty close to as good as it needs to be. I would say that gap is probably about right, because I definitely have a thin layer of epoxy and microbubble the whole way, and a thin layer should be good and strong with this epoxy, but it won't be a zero layer because there are bubbles mixed in there and they are distributing along the way, which, if the reflections are right on the camera, and they very well probably aren't, you can kind of see the graininess when I take that in and out. So in and out. How many? There. Come on, focus, focus, you. There it is. See that sandy graininess? Probably good enough for this.